What if I told you that the secret to living a meaningful life could be summed up with just a jar, a few rocks, pebbles, and some sand? It sounds simple, right? But stay with me. This one lesson might just change your perspective forever. The teacher sets the jar on the table.
This jar represents your life. Everything you do, every priority you set, it all fits inside this jar. But the question is, how do you fill it? The answer to that question will determine whether your life feels full and meaningful or cluttered and empty.
The teacher places the large rocks on the table one by one.
These rocks represent the most important things in your life. Your health, your family, your dreams and passions. These are the things that truly matter. If you lose them, life becomes hollow. Think about it. If you don't prioritize your health, will you even have the energy to enjoy the other parts of life? If you neglect your family or your passions, what's left? These rocks are your foundation.
The teacher places the rocks into the jar. It's halfway full.
If you don't put these in first, there won't be space for them later. Next, we have the pebbles. These represent other important things in your life. Your job, your education, your hobbies, your responsibilities. They're not as critical as the rocks, but they still hold value.
Your job might be important, but it's not your whole life. Your hobbies and responsibilities add richness to your experience, but they should never overshadow the rocks. The teacher pours the pebbles into the jar. They settle between the rocks, filling some of the gaps.
Notice how the pebbles fit around the rocks? That's because they're meant to support the foundation, not replace it.
The teacher picks up a bowl of fine sand and holds it up for everyone to see.
And now, the sand. This represents everything else, the small, trivial things in life, social media, gossip, mindless distractions. They seem important at the moment, but in the grand scheme of things, they're just filler. Here's the truth. If you let the sand take up all your time, there will be no room left for the rocks or even the pebbles. The important things will get crowded out.
The teacher pours the sand into the jar. It fills all the tiny spaces between the rocks and pebbles.
But if you prioritize the rocks and pebbles first, the sand will always find its place. It's all about getting your priorities right.
The teacher holds the jar up, now completely full, and looks at the students.
Now, imagine if I had started with the sand. What would have happened? The answer is simple. There would be no room for the rocks or the pebbles. Your life would be full of things that don't matter, while the things that truly do would be left out.
The teacher smiles and sets the jar down. The students nod in understanding.
Life is just like this jar. If you focus on the big things, your rocks, first, everything else will fall into place. But if you focus on the little things, you'll miss out on what truly matters. So ask yourself, what are the rocks in your life? Are you making space for them, or are you letting the sand take over?
The jar of life teaches us one thing: prioritize what truly matters. Let the rest fit around it, because in the end, it's not the sand that gives life meaning. It's the rocks. Focus on what matters most. The rest will follow. If this story inspired you, hit that subscribe button for more life-changing lessons from driven souls. Your time is precious. Spend it wisely.